Hello and welcome to this collaborative production between Real News and NewsClick. Today we are going to discuss about 2 years of the Modi regime and the issue of communalism. To discuss the issue we have with us human rights activist Teesta Setalvad. Welcome to NewsClick, Teesta. In last 2 years we have seen there is a rise in attack on minority community and growing intolerance. How do you see the role of government in it?
You see, what needs to be understood here is that we have a party and a force in power at the center, holding all the agencies under them, which is the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh, RSS, of which parliamentary wing is the BJP, which won the elections. Now, the RSS is a very unique political force in this country. It cannot be equated with the other political parties because it openly says on its website even today that it does not believe in the Indian Constitution. So it does not believe in the rule of law, it does not believe in equality of citizenship, it does not believe in the principle of non-discrimination. So when you have a mindset of that kind which militates against the republic in power, you will have utterances coming out of people who are ministers, who are legislators, members of parliament that border on incitement to hatred or are actually incitement to hate. So look at the speeches of Adityanath, look at Sangeet Som, look at Sangeet Balyan. You look at Mahesh, the culture minister.
Mahesh
Sharma. You have statements, utterances which are directed at one community or one, and which are not just hate speech, but they are virtually insightful to a mob to commit violence. Look at the politics with the cow and beef eating. Granted that the question of cow protection and the question of thing is a religious issue for some section, a small section of the Hindus, but to make it into a mob hysteria issue is just a way to target Dalits and Muslims.
First of all, the issue of ministers. So you see on one hand Modi talking about development, going into different countries, while the key ministers, key members of the ruling party, they are giving statements like Muslims should be not allowed to vote. So is Modi's silence a tacit consent to all this?
Absolutely. Now look at the Modi's silence on the Kashmir issue also. You have a person, you have the US President Obama cutting short his visit after the Dallas episode and the policemen targeted there. And you have our Prime Minister on a tour of Africa and he does not even bother to utter a word. When you have real discontent among the youth in Kashmir, it's a political issue. It has to be dealt with. So he believes that by keeping silent, he's trying to elevate himself either apart from it or, like you said, it's a very sinister message to the large band of followers of the RSS, Bajrang Dal, VHP, that actually you have impunity granted from the top.
So this government has been constantly trying to create this mob terror or mob hysteria. A mob is ready to lynch people on the issue of beef, the issue of nationalism. It has become a common sentiment. Do you think this is pushing the fierce pushing of Hindutva agenda going on? The real player is RSS behind the government?
Absolutely. One of the most senior ideologues of the RSS is Govindacharya, a seasoned politician and a seasoned ideologue. He recently gave an interview to one of our newspapers where he said that we believe that we want to overturn the Indian Constitution. So they are being very clear and open about it. And that is why I believe that as activists, as journalists, as citizens of this country who believe that the Constitution is what this country stands on, the RSS should not be allowed to win state elections because today they have a majority party in the center. If they get more state power, they will actually overturn the numbers in the Rajya Sabha, which is the upper house of the Indian Parliament, and then there will be serious issues about trying to rewrite the Constitution. They are openly saying it.
Since past 2 years, there has been a constant attack on the secular fabrics of the nation. The states like Maharashtra, Haryana are pushing cow shelter issues, the issue of beef ban.
You mentioned the Dadri killing, which was in September 2015. Soon after that, you had the killing of 2 Dalit children in Fugana. Then you had the Latehar hangings this February, March. Then last year itself, you had a lynching of a young Muslim boy in Kanpur on the street. This boy, and just while he's being beaten, he's remembering his God. He's saying, Ya Allah, and they're saying he's a terrorist. So this it's very dangerous what we have done. This happened in Gujarat, by the way, in 2002, that there was a mob waiting for the whistle. And the whistle came then and from the state, and the whistle is coming now from persons who are in the state. That you just give a signal and the mob becomes, amorphous mob suddenly becomes visible. And that's a very, very scary situation for a society to be, where you actually, the threshold for hate speech has risen. We are actually accepting as normal something which is extremely abnormal and should be shunned.
So, when we look at this entire politics of beef ban, and then there's a move towards appropriating Ambedkar, do you think BJP is showing its double standard, the ruling party? On one hand, you are attacking the economy of Muslims and Dalits, and on the other hand, you are trying to appropriate their icon.
Yeah, and add to that the fact is, who are the biggest beef exporters in the country? They are vegetarian Jains, who are Hindus.
And apart from that, I mean, the Rohit Vemula issue in Hyderabad Central University.
I'm saying the hypocrisy extends to various levels. Look at the BJP government in Goa, or look at the BJP government in Assam, or the BJP propaganda in Kerala, when they were they won now only one seat. In Goa, Kerala and Assam, even Amit Shah will not talk about beef, because he knows that the demography, that population there is a beef. There's a significant section of this quote-unquote Hindu majority which also eats beef. So it's an extremely malicious and also pernicious ideology at work here. Vote gathering and vote catching at any cost, principles aside. And coming to the question about Baba Saheb, you see, it's very important that about 8-9 years ago at the RSS Itihasik Sangh, which is their history wing, they had actually declared Baba Saheb Ambedkar as one of their saints. And this is something, by the way, that Ambedkar would have hated, because in his speech to the Constituent Assembly, he said that our greatest failing as a people and a nation is that we either revere people without critical thinking or we revile them. And Ambedkar did not want to be declared a saint at all. So by declaring him a saint, they actually want to de-radicalize him. Last February, in this year, I'm talking about, the most prestigious book fair is the Delhi Book Fair. Where people come from all over the world and all over the country, and the stalls are really visited with. I had visited the book fair 2 or 3 times, and there was one store I invariably go to, which sells the volumes of Baba Saheb. And this year, the Baba Saheb Ambedkar volumes sold without 11 key volumes. And which were those volumes? Riddles in Hinduism, Annihilation of Caste, State and Minorities, Shudra and Counter-Revolution. So the radical thinker Ambedkar is sought to be denied, and he's sought to be appropriate as a Hindu icon, which is just impossible, because Ambedkar converted in October 1956 to Buddhism as his ultimate statement of revolt against caste-ridden Hindu society.
He said, I was born a Hindu, but I'll not die a Hindu.
I mean, you can't do that to Ambedkar. But unfortunately, the non-Chamar, non-Mahad, a certain section of Dalits who are not politically very radical, have been appropriated by the Bharatiya Janata Party and its backbone, the RSS. Out of 75 reserved seats in the last Lok Sabha, over 43 have been won by the BJP. So it's been a long process of social engineering, as they call it, because I think the RSS realized at some point, that's why Bajrang Dal was started to woo the Valmiki community. They realized that they cannot win on a purely Brahmanical agenda, with only having Brahmins in the leadership. So they have to appropriate OBCs and Dalits and try to, but their entire politics is Brahmanical and discriminatory.
We look today, the UP elections are near. There's a news of Hindu exodus in Kairana. So, I mean, BJP is trying to do this vote bank politics, and it's again trying to invoke communal tensions in these areas. How do you see it?
No, in fact, it is quite shocking, and I think this is the question that channels like Newslake and Sabrang India and all should be doing, because the role of the media at a time like this is very critical. The Kairana exodus, actually, the entire thing was first flagged by Amit Shah, the BJP president, while the national executive of the BJP was on in Allahabad. And he flags it there without any proof, because that senior member of the party raises it.
Hukum
Singh. And after that, after the first few days of the Z News and other channels propagating it, the media actually plays a positive role and exposes the untruth behind the mass exodus theory. Even day before yesterday, when he was in Uttar Pradesh, he is the president of the ascendant political party in the country. He has no qualms about saying, regardless of the truth, I will misuse it. That's essentially what Amit Shah is saying. So we are talking about an amoral extremely evil brand of politics, which will actually use the Goebbelsian lie of Muslim mass exodus and Kairana, repeated 1,000 times, and expects the RSS's rumor wing to do the rest. So I think it's a challenge for all of us, for civil society, for activists, for organizations, and I think for every political activist to realize that there is a difference between RSS and other forces. They are not any other political force. They are an exclusivist, supremacist force that does not believe in the Constitution.
Teesta, this would be my last question. There's a resistance building up against this divisive agenda. How do you see it?
At a social level, at a cultural level, I think the time has come that we actually express ourselves very, very creatively, sharply, and openly. And I personally believe this is the time to build the broadest possible political alliances. This is not the time to nitpick on our narrow differences. We have to draw a line to show which is a proto-fascist force and which at least are other forces that at least believe in the fundamentals of the Indian Constitution.
Thank you for giving us
Thank
your
you so
time.
much for having me here.
Thank you for watching our program.